Hi there. This video is just a quick introduction to shadows. How are they created? Very exciting, right? So if you have a smartphone that's got a flashlight on it, you can do these activities, and I really think you should try to do these activities. All you need is that flashlight from your phone, and go grab a piece of junk mail, something, a nice card or something a little bit thicker than a standard piece of paper. Doesn't have to be extremely thick, just something the light won't go through. So stop if you need to. Go get those. I'll be here. I'm still waiting. It's okay. All right. So what we're going to do first is we're just going to do the basics of a shadow. We're going to take the phone with its flashlight, shining light, and we're going to have a card or a piece of paper, something that's going to act as just a blocker, a blocking card. And then you need like a wall or something to shine the light and the shadow onto. So you're going to hold this. How do you do a hold? So you're going to hold the card. You're going to hold the phone. I'm not a very good drawer. And you're going to produce a shadow. You already know what you're going to see. So give it a try, and you should see a shadow, a dark spot, that looks like the card, surrounded by bright. All right, so probably nothing too different or unusual there. Now what I'd like you to do is take that card, or piece of paper, whatever it is, and fold it so that it now looks like a triangle. Oh, this is still wet. So now you have a triangular card. What do you think you're going to see on the screen? You probably can guess correctly if you say, I'm going to see a triangle. But what orientation is that triangle? Is it going to be the same orientation as this? Is it going to be flipped left, right? Is it going to be flipped upside down? Make a quick prediction and then give it a try. All right, did you try it? What you should see is a triangular shadow, yes, in the same orientation as the original card. So that's just the basics of how shadows are formed. You already know the basics of it. And now I want you to try a little bit of playing around. Take this card, move it up and down. What does the shadow do? Take the flashlight and move it up and down. What does the shadow do? So play around for a moment. Go ahead and hit pause. What you should see is that when we move the card, the blocking card, up, so when we move this up, the shadow also moves up. If we move the light up, so move that flashlight on your phone, if we move the light up, so now I move this upwards, the shadow should move down. Again, this is probably not a lot of new material, not very hard to understand, but it's important. What I'd like you to try next is to use a side view diagram to figure out how those shadows are formed. So I'm going to have my light source right here. So this is a side view. And here's my thin little card that you're holding. Here's your hand. And here's the wall, the screen, whatever you were projecting onto. So take a minute. I'm going to remove my hand and just say it's a perfect card. And it's floating in air. Take a minute and draw light rays. Draw how light moves, is emitted, behaves, whatever you want to call it, so that you see a shadow on this screen. We've got the light, we've got the blocking card, we've got the screen. So get a piece of paper and give it a try. Hit pause if you need to. Okay, what most students do when they're asked to do this activity, it's like, how is light going to create a shadow? I see something usually like this. Something like that. Sometimes, people will do that too. But in general, that's the kind of thing I get when I ask people to do this. You may have had something different. That's okay. What we have here, the cool thing about this, is that there are two big ideas about light here that are present that you, if you did this, you already know. And they're in your head. They're hiding in here. And one of those ideas is about how light is emitted from a source. So if you have a light source, like your flashlight, how does light leave that light source? Well, if you drew something like this, you know that light leaves in every direction. I've got some bright lights up there, which is why I squint. And when I look at that, that light is emitting light in every direction that it's not blocked in. And so light is emitted in every direction. That is one of our two big ideas. So light is emitted in all directions from a source. So that is our idea, where you can draw whatever line you like. Yeah, it's emitted in every single direction. Yeah. The other idea here is the fact that most people draw straight lines. And we can see that if we have a straight line going just at the edge of that card, and a straight line going just at the edge of this card, this right here, this bit right here, is where the shadow is formed, because no light can get through the card, it's blocked. So drawing straight lines is good, because what we know about light is that light travels in straight lines. So here are our two big ideas about light that we can figure out just from shadows, just our basic shadows. And we can figure that out, you know, just if you line this up. If you want some more verification of these ideas, what you can do is, again, use that flashlight on your phone and get a big piece of paper and poke a tiny hole in it. Use a pin or mechanical pencil lead, but put a tiny little hole there, and then, you know, you've got your wall or your screen. And if you do this, what you're going to see, well, hit pause if you want to go do it. What you're going to see is a blob of light, a spot of light on the screen or the wall. And if you line this up with that and that, you will get a straight line. Oh, I don't know if I did it very well. Move the flashlight up to here, then the blob of light goes down here. If you move it left, right, it always is going to be straight line path. So here are two big ideas about light that we learned from shadows. Now we can use this idea of the side view diagram to figure out some more complex situations. So if we have multiple lights or multiple cards, blocking cards, this side view diagram is really useful to figure out what's going on there. This is still wet. All right, I'm going to erase these. You can always back up the video. Straight lines, all directions. We're going to use those along with this side view diagram. Ooh, wow. All right, let's say we have our flashlight, our source of light, and again, side view, and we put two cards, two blocking cards there, and here we've got our screen. So we've got the light cards, the blockers, and here's our screen. You know what you should see. You should see two shadows in the shape of the card. And where are they? Ooh, that's too high. Let's make that a little bit lower. So the first one, if we draw a straight line there, and we draw a straight line there, we know that this right here, this is going to be the shadow from the top card, and then straight, yeah. So here, this is going to be the shadow from the bottom card. Now if you'll think about it, you only need two lines to figure out where that shadow is. It's kind of handy. You can have a really complex picture with all sorts of rays, but we like to keep things neat and focus on only the things that we have to have. We only need two rays to show where any shadow is from a blocking card. So that should be, again, probably pretty straightforward. Let's go one step more difficult and do two flashlights, two sources of light. And we're going to call them point sources because we're pretending that all the light is coming out of a tiny, tiny little dot, which is, it's actually a pretty good assumption. So what we're going to do, we're going to have two sources of light, 2 point sources, and I'm going to do a single card, and then I'm going to do my screen. All right, so I'd recommend drawing this and giving it a try yourself. So hit pause, give it a try. What we're going to do, I'm going to say this is light number 1, and I'm going to draw just those 2 rays. Oop. When you're doing it, you might want to use a ruler. And light number 2. All right, where is your shadow? Something like this. Yeah, something like that. Now, what does this mean here? What can we figure out? Well, what I like to do is say each of these is marking a different area of the shadows. So I like to do these lines. So now imagine this is my screen. This is what I would see on the screen. So side view. Now this is a front view of the screen. Well, there's a 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 areas, but what's going on there? Let's take these lights one at a time. For light source number 1, it is blocked from here to here. So it cannot shine from here to here, but it can shine everywhere else. So I've got light number 1 in those areas. Same thing with number 2. Number 2 is blocked from here to here, but outside of these 2, we have light number 2 shining. Okay, so what does this mean? Well, there are no lights shining here. This is going to be dark. There's nothing, no light, so complete shadow. Here and here we have 1 light shining, but then here and here we have 2, so I might call this dim for 1 light and bright for 2 lights. Okay, so if you actually do this, you can see this pattern. And the pattern will change a little bit depending upon if the card is close to the lights, if it's close to the screen. But this is, in general, the way you can figure out what to expect from a shadow pattern using multiple lights and a card. So see if this makes sense. And then, to practice, you should go try it with 3 lights. Add a 3rd light and see what that pattern is. You're going to do the same ideas, draw the 2 rays, and then figure out where light 3 shines. You might have 3 lights shining here, you might have 2, 1, 0, who knows. This will be interesting because we lose our dark space if we add a 3rd light there, because light 3 will shine there. So give it some practice. It should, and then you can actually, if you have 2 phones, 3 phones, you can give it a try and see if your ideas are right. So that's just the basics of shadows and how we can figure out overlapping shadow patterns. All right, good job for watching.